a child, I used to write poetry, and as an adult, I continued poetry, but I never published anything, although my fiance is a published poet, believe it or not. How I come to publish or to write my first book is I'm actually a spiritualist, and I do a lot of mental health and well-being, so I do meditation, I do visualization, and one of the times I was meditating, and the inspiration comes to me that I should share my experiences with the world. Now, a lot of us have all had, I'm sure, interesting lives, but whenever I share a snippet of my own life with anyone, they go like this. And it's just a snippet, I think, oh gosh, you knew everything, I don't know what you do. So I knew I had to write everything down, so I started typing. Now, every writer will probably look at me with daggers or hate me when I say this, but inspiration or creativity is very easy for me. My problem is time, because I have 5 jobs, so it's finding the time to sit down and actually write. So I started to write my first book, and I didn't know nothing about writing. I didn't look into it, I didn't research it, I didn't edit my book, I didn't do anything. I just literally read the book down. I didn't think about whether it was actually going to be published, I just knew I had to write it. I read that book pretty quickly, and then unfortunately my brother that I lived with was diagnosed with cancer, so I stopped writing at the last chapter. I then left that book for 10 years. And it's only after seeing, now I'm going to sound mean, but I saw that someone I know had published their book, and I thought, well, if she can do it, I can do it. Maybe, yeah, I should finish my book. Because when I did start writing it, and finally did contact a publisher, they were actually interested. But I had a deadline to send them a certain amount of chapters by. And life was so busy, I was still drinking, it just all got thrown out the window, to be honest. Eventually, I did finish that book, and then I just happened to find a publishing company, and I actually self-published it. I actually didn't think the book, well, it's not that I didn't think the book would do well. I wanted to share my story with the world, and it's almost like standing here naked, because my books are very honest, they're very raw, and I share some of my deepest, darkest thoughts, the ones that you don't even tell your partner, your mother, your child, no one, because you know they'll look at you differently. And my books are very honest, and I thought, okay, I'll still go ahead with it and do it. And the feedback I got from the book was absolutely phenomenal. My book started being used in mental health in the UK and America. They passed stages to be used in prisons. People tell me they give up alcohol and drugs after reading my book. People told me they quit their job and started their own business. I had other people contacting me just saying that they enjoyed reading the book just because it's so entertaining. So you don't have to have a hook for that particular genre, or I suppose it is classed as a practical self-help. But the feedback was so good. People were asking me to know more about my spiritual side, which I didn't put much of that in the book because religion can cause arguments, so I didn't bother. So my inspiration for my next book was the fact that people were asking me for more information about my journey, growing up, sensitive to the spirit world. So I don't want to use the word lucky, I very unluckily had a car crash, a very serious one, and that meant that I was off work for a little while. So I actually read that book within a couple of months, my second book, and it went to a bestseller within 24 hours on Amazon. I couldn't believe it, absolutely fantastic. And again, people contacted me saying, I've read your book, it's helped me for a variety of reasons. And I've then started to be, I was then invited into different colleges and schools to offer early intervention for mental health and drinking drug addiction. Now that didn't happen when I was at school. I was at school in the 80s, should have gone in the 90s, but I did not. But there was nothing like that. There was no intervention about actually what do we do if we feel someone's got mental health, what is mental health? And it's not as much of a taboo subject as what it used to be, but I wanted to normalise it. I wanted people to talk about it. And I go to places and I have children come up to me and say, my mum drinks too much. Yeah, so it's working. And the schools, the feedback that I got from some of the children was absolutely amazing. So I know that my books are doing well. So my inspirations from meditation was to just do it. And then it's been the feedback that I've got and the effect the book has had to carry on. So my second book then was actually a prequel, which is the one that I'm going to read from today. My newest book, which is The Girl from Pompey, Bloodshed in the Hampshire Cabin, is actually a thriller memoir. So my first one is psychological practical self-help. My second one is paranormal, and my third one is thriller memoir. So I'm sure the next one could be romance. I'm just going to cover all the genre and see which one does best. But I don't like to put them into a genre, but I'm really proud of all my books. But I'm going to read from you just a little bit from my second book. There is a little bit of French in this book, so I will substitute it for non-naughty words. They're all written in first person as well, which I think makes the reader feel like you're having that conversation with them as well. They are actually published as fiction, that's mainly for legal reasons, if I'm honest. I can hear screaming and ringing in my ears. Where am I? It sounds like I'm underwater, with muffled voices and noises that I cannot quite work out. I can smell something strange like blueberries. I open my eyes, searching for answers or something that looks familiar. I look ahead and I can see cars facing me. Why are they facing me? Fudge. I'm on the motorway. The date was December the 11th at 4:12 p.m. and the year is 2021. My blue Citroen car is facing the wrong way on the A27 motorway, and I, my friends, am well and truly fudged. For me to share this experience with you, an experience that I'm naming Crash Test Dummy the Second, I need to take you back to May 15, 2021, where it all began. My name is Bryony. To tell me that I'm lucky, I do not feel this way. I feel that I'm a survivor who's been forced into many unwanted or undeserved situations, like a fly that is wriggle-free from a predator's web of lace and moths. So that book actually starts off on my second crash. So in May 2021, I had my first crash. I was stationary, they just crashed into me. I had quite a few injuries from that. And then I didn't drive for a while, so I kept saying, I predicted this crash. I actually said, I'm going to have another crash, it's going to be really, really serious. I'm not driving. I didn't drive for 3 months. Then I gave in, was driving just to and from work. And then my first social drive where I had my pregnant niece and 2 of my nephews in the car. I was in a 5-car smash up on the motorway. The car behind me didn't even stop. My car went flying and ended up facing this way. And luckily we all survived, but we didn't know that at the time. It was very, very serious. And that's where that book actually started from. But that's what I've got to say about my books. I hope you will look into them. And thank you very much for your time.